Hey everyone, my name's Chris Lambert. On this channel, we talk, well, today we're talking The Weeknd. For those of you that are into narrative concepts in movies, books, but especially music and albums, you may be familiar with the work that we do with Kanye's discography and deconstructing the narratives on his songs, his albums. But we have other artists that we like because they do similar things. Tyler, the Creator with Igor and Flower Boy was really awesome to get into the nuance of those albums. Kendrick Lamar, of course, is a huge one on Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn, having, I think, the closest to a rival that Kanye has in terms of narrative art in hip hop currently. But then The Weeknd is another one that is really upping his game album by album. Starboy, with its music videos, seemed to convey that there was a narrative going on there. With After Hours, he had a whole character and journey he was portraying. And that album really did have a flow from the start to the end in terms of this character kind of losing his mind, losing his soul, becoming more and more monstrous. It felt like like his version of Kanye's journey from 808s and Heartbreak to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy into Yeezus, but all contained into one album, with the title After Hours being a reference to the Martin Scorsese movie After Hours, which is, it doesn't quite have the same plot, but it does get into some of the madness and bizarreness that happens in that movie. And now he is teasing The Dawn is Coming, which is such a nice contrast. And this is the thing that has me so excited and why I'm making this video, is because of the continuity between After Hours, which is an album that really takes place in the nightlife, to now something called The Dawn is Coming, which seems to be in the aftermath of everything I just experienced. That darkness, that kind of lifestyle that thrived in the nighttime. Now we're going into daylight. Like, there's this next chapter that's starting up, that we're seeing that kind of continuity between projects is something that I am incredibly excited about, because I just want more and more artists to do that. And I don't think that's asking too much. It's just music has been so dominated by the single, and for so long, just like, what's the hit single that's playing? What's the hit single that's playing? And you had rock artists in the 60s and 70s that were going more into, I'm going to tell stories, like concept albums, narrative albums. And it kind of fell out of favor for a long time. But I feel like we're starting to get more and more concept albums and starting to see huge artists like Kanye, Kendrick, Tyler, Weeknd going for more concepts, just because it is, I think, a more elevated form of the album. Because it's one thing to put together just a collection of hit songs. It's another thing to put together those hit songs into something that has a continuity and story going from A to Z. So, okay, we're going to look at the Dawn is Coming teaser, then look at the teaser for, or the album title release for After Hours, and just kind of give them a comparison. So let's start with the album title for After Hours. You can see that we're going through kind of this tunnel of bright neon lights that actually ends up being the headlights of a car, a fancy, nice car that Weeknd is driving. You have these red lights, and then it switches from day to night. And as it does, you get the inverted road. So everything kind of becomes upside down, topsy-turvy. He's lost in the city. You have the night sky kind of taking over, and now Weeknd is gone. He's just kind of consumed by this nightlife and city. And then the lights kind of start rotating and blurring and going quicker and quicker, which, of course, one of the lead singles was called Blinded by the Lights, which is getting into kind of the madness that Weeknd is starting to suffer from as he's falling prey to the nightlife. So compare that then to The Dawn is Coming. So it starts in darkness, speeding along, much like we were speeding along in the After Hours title, except now instead of being in the city, we're up in the sky. It's nature versus civilization, which usually are on two opposite ends of the spectrum, like concrete versus jungle. And you see that you have brightness now. You have darkness down below, you have brightness in the sky, so you're getting these contrasting elements, light and dark, which After Hours is very much an album steeped in darkness, and now you have the dawn really starting to dominate more and more of this visual space, with the sun slowly starting to rise, right? And it's getting larger. It's starting to take up more of the center of the frame as we get closer to it. And you're going to start to see the ground here fade away. The darkness starts to disappear as the lights and the sky becomes more and more dominant. So we'll watch that take place. Yep, a little bit of a zoom. The particle effects are cool. It reminds me of Goku charging up a spirit bomb, you know? You can just imagine a little Goku standing there with his arms in the air. Give me your energy. And notice no darkness. It's just now the light, and you're heading towards the light and then consumed by the light. So while this one ends with like all white, and this one ended with all black with the album title on the screen. So a nice like contrast between the two. And then we already have the title of the lead single. This was just announced 30 minutes ago. I do believe it was posted, and it's called Take My Breath, which I'm hoping, because when you hear this, it's still very, and I could have played the audio from this, but it's still very electronic in its soundscape. And that was a thing for After Hours. It was 80s, but with 2020 aesthetics and touches. So you're getting this like synth pop, but it's dark and edgy, like fitting the story of this album. And now you're getting that same kind of synth pop, but it's brighter and more energized, befitting like the dawn, right? Something that's much more positive. And then having a song called Take My Breath, which seems to be like You Take My Breath. There was Heartache on After Hours, as it was mostly about a relationship falling apart and the Weeknd suffering in the aftermath of the relationship. And it seems like this is a bounce back. He is meeting someone that's taking his breath, and we're going to see a positive upswing in the aftermath of such disaster. So I'm very excited to see if this pans out. Is Weeknd going that big and having two albums that are sharing continuity, that this one's going to be a sequel to the previous one? Maybe not necessarily in the details, like the same character from After Hours is now the character that's on this album, but at least in concept it's a spiritual successor to the previous one. But at least in the imagery we've gotten so far, that seems like a safe assumption, which, I need more artists to do this, but I'm happy Weeknd is doing it. And if he pulls this off, man, it is going to make me a huge fan, not just of like the music that I like of him, but just him. I'm going to be excited for everything he does from here on out. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, but we'll be making Kanye content in the meantime and probably returning to this as we get more details. It will be fun to follow this rollout. So if you want to ignore this and just focus on the Kanye content, please. If you want to join us for the Weeknd contents, all the merrier. So that's it for this video. Until next time, stay wavy and keep it loopy. Cheers.